I stood in the rain outside the Gilded Oak, my breath fogging in the freezing no. Through the massive crystalline windows, I could see my family laughing, surrounded by the warm glow of $500 luxury. My sister Sarah was gesturing wildly with a glass of champagne, likely bragging about another commission, while my brother David checked his gold watch with that familiar look of impatient superiority. I looked down at my soaked, oversized hoodie and my work boots, caked in a thin layer of dust from the tech firm's logistics warehouse. Them, I was the broken link, the college dropout who spent his days moving boxes while they moved mountains of capital. They thought they were the elite, and I was just the charity case to make themselves feel righteous. They didn't realize that the ground they were standing on, the air they were breathing, was paid for by me. The dinner they were about to eat was a privilege I was seconds away from revoking. The heavy oak doors of the restaurant creaked open as I stepped inside. The warmth hit me, smelling of roasted rosemary, expensive truffles, and the distinct metallic scent. The hostess, a young woman in a sleek black dress, looked me up and down with a "Can I help you, sir?" she asked, her voice dripping with the implication that I clearly wandered into the wrong building. "Blackwood party," I said, wiping a drop of rain from my nose. "Table 12. She checked her tablet, her eyebrows shooting up. "Table 12 is a VIP reservation, sir. It requires a formal dress code." "Check the note on the reservation," I replied calmly. "It's been cleared." She tapped the screen, her expression shifting from disdain to sudden, panicked confusion. She didn't say another word, simply gestured toward the back of the dining room, where the most expensive booths overlooked the city skyline. As I approached the table, the laughter died instantly. It was like a vacuum had sucked the air out of the room. Sarah was the first to speak, her voice sharp and grating. "Oh, for God, you actually showed up looking like that?" She pointed a manicured finger at my damn hoodie. "This is the Gilded Oak. Do you have any idea how much David had to pull strings just to get us in here today? Like, you don't even get past the lobby, let alone sit at the owner's preferred table." David didn't even look at me. He was busy swirling a deep red Cabernet. "I told you, Sarah. He has no respect for the family image. Mark, sit down, keep your head low, and for heaven's sake, don't talk to the sommelier. I don't want them thinking we're related to a common laborer." My mother sat at the head of the table, her face a mask of cold elegance. She didn't offer a hug or a greeting. "You're late, Mark, and you're an eyesore. We invited you because it's Thanksgiving and your sister insisted on unity, but your presence is making it very difficult to enjoy this vintage." I sat down in the empty chair. Lena, David's wife, pulled her silk dress away from me as if I were carrying a plague. "I hope you aren't expecting us to pay for your meal again, Mark." "I heard your little warehouse job isn't doing so well. Maybe you should have stayed in school instead of playing with computers in a garage." For the next hour, I endured the ultimate psychological warfare. They talked about their portfolios, their summer homes in the Hamptons, and their importance. Whenever I tried to mention my life, Sarah would cut me off with a patronizing, "That's nice, honey, but we're talking about real business now," she'd say. "Why don't you focus on finishing that breadbasket? It's probably the best meal you've had all year." The tension peaked when the tall, distinguished man in a shirt. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the arrival of the main course. But Sarah had other plans. "Wait," Sarah said, stopping the waiter. She looked at me, then at David. "You know, David's boss's son is in town. He's a venture capitalist. I called him 20 minutes ago, and he's nearby. He'd be a much better fit for this seat." She turned to me, her eyes, "Mark, be a sport and head out. We'll send you home with some leftovers in a Tupperware if there's any. You're clearly uncomfortable here anyway. You don't fit the decor." "Want me to leave?" I asked, my voice steady. "In the middle of dinner?" "It's not dinner for you, Mark," David snapped. "It's a luxury you can't afford. You're a stain on the table. Look at Elena, she's embarrassed to be seen near you. Go find a diner. Here's $50. Buy yourself a burger and call it a night." He tossed a crumpled $50 bill onto the white linen tablecloth. It landed in a smear of butter. My mother nodded in agreement. "For the best, Mark. We have reputations to maintain. You can't expect us to sacrifice our social standing just because you refuse to grow up. I looked at the $50 bill. Then I looked at the waiter, who was standing there awkwardly. I didn't look like a winner. I looked like a man who had just been humiliated by his own blood. Then I reached into the pocket of my hood, didn't pull out a wallet. Pulled out a small metallic black card, custom-etched gold oak leaf on the front. "Mr. Sterling," I said, looking at the waiter. The waiter's eyes nearly fell out of his head. He recognized the card instantly. It wasn't a credit card. It was the founder's key. "Mark, what are you doing?" Sarah hissed. "Stop bothering the staff and get out." "Actually, Sarah," I said, standing up, "I think you're right. This table is for winners, and unfortunately, none of you qualify." I turned to the waiter. "Mr. Sterling, please call the general manager. Tell security I need a clearing at table 12. Immediately." "Mark, sit down. You're making a scene," David yelled, his face turning a deep shade of purple. "Do you have any idea who I had to talk to for this reservation?" "You talked to the regional manager, David," leaning over the table. "And he called me 3 months ago to ask permission. I told him to go ahead. I wanted to see if a year of successes had made you any more. See, I was wrong." At that moment, the general manager, a man, Arthur, whom I had hired personally 3 years ago, came sprinting across the floor. He ignored my mother. He ignored David's Rolex. He stopped out his head, voice echoing through the silence. "So incredibly sorry. I didn't realize you were being treated this way. We had no idea you were the guest at table 12. If I had known, I would have cleared the entire wing for you." The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah's mouth was hung open so wide I thought her jaw. David's hand, still clutching his wineglass, began to shake. "Mark?" my mother whispered, her voice trembling. "What is he talking about? Who are you?" "I'm the man who owns the logistics firm that handles 60% of the tech shipping on the East Coast. The warehouse you keep mocking? That's the headquarters of a $3 billion empire. And this restaurant? I bought the land, the building, and the brand when the previous owners went bankrupt 4 years ago. I didn't tell you because I wanted to love your son, or if you only loved his net worth." I looked at the table, the expensive wine, the gold-leafed appetizers, luxury they thought they had earned. "Arthur," I said. "Yes, Mr. Blackwood? The reservation for the Blackwood party is officially canceled. Not just for tonight, but for life. They are to be blacklisted from every establishment under the Blackwood Holdings umbrella. That includes the hotels, the clubs, and the private gyms they love so much." "No, Mark, please," Sarah cried. "I have a client meeting here next week. My career depends on this place." "Then I guess you should have been a better sister, Sarah." "David, you can take your $50 back. You'll need it. I'm calling your firm's CEO tomorrow morning. He's a close friend of mine. I think he'd be interested to know that his top associate thinks common laborers are beneath him. After all, laborers are the ones who buy his products." "Mark, you can't do this to your family. We're your blood. Blood is supposed to nourish you, Mom," grabbing my hoodie. "You've been draining me dry for years. Arthur, please escort these people out. It's raining outside, and I wouldn't want them to get their expensive clothes wet. Though I hear the bus stop at the corner." Security team, 4 large men in suits, appeared as if out of thin air. They didn't use force, but their presence was absolute. "This way, please," one of them said to David. As they were led through the restaurant, hundreds of eyes watched them. The elite Blackwoods were being tossed out of the most exclusive spot in town like crawlers. Sarah was sobbing, David was shouting about lawyers, and my mother was looking back at me with a look of pure, unadulterated regret. But it wasn't regret for how she treated me. It was regret for the money she had just lost. I sat back down at the empty. The room was quiet now, the other diners whispering in hushed tones. Arthur approached me again. "Would you like the main course served now, sir?" "No, Arthur," I said, looking out at the rain. "Bring the entire kitchen staff out here. Chefs, the dishwashers, the servers. Tell them Thanksgiving is on me. We're going to eat like kings, and for the first time in my life, I'm going to be surrounded by people who actually deserve a seat at the table." That night, I didn't eat with millionaires. I ate with the people who actually made the world run. And as I looked at the empty chair where I realized that the greatest luxury in the world isn't a five-star meal. It's the power to choose who you share it with. My family thought they were kicking me out. They didn't realize I had already built a better one, and they weren't invited.